Hello and welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show. We are your hosts, Chris and Philly, co-founders of a multi-award-winning functional medicine practice, serving busy people with energy, mood, and gut issues.
While busyness, addictive doing, people-pleasing, and perfectionism might be the norm, it's not normal, and it's a major contributor to health issues.
Our goal with this show is to give you a holistic root cause approach to healing your body so that you don't have to continue doctor or diet hopping or popping a gazillion supplements hoping something might stick.
So get ready to heal your body, get your spark back, deeply connect with yourself, and step into the life of your dreams.
Let's dive in.
Hello, friend. I have got goosebumps from this most amazing interview we just did for the podcast with Kristy Russell. You might recognize her name. She was actually on our podcast last year. And she shared her journey of healing 30 years of chronic pain and also the work that she does in the music, mindset, and movement space and healing space. And after the podcast interview with her, I actually went onto her podcast and I shared my own body burnout story. And afterwards, she reached out to Chris and I for some help. So she was actually struggling with her third body burnout episode late last year. And anyway, as the universe brought us together, she actually joined our Ending Body Burnout Method program in our last cohort. So when our doors opened earlier this year. And so she's 4 or 5 months into the program, and she has so generously shared her healing story with us today. And I'm so excited for you to hear her journey as she has dug into the deepest root causes of her body burnout, perfectionism, people-pleasing patterns. She was struggling with brain fog, overwhelm, anxiety, stress. She was the dragon mom. And she also had some pretty intense allergies and histamine issues. And all of that is resolved now as she's lent into our Ending Body Burnout Method process. And my hat goes off to her because she has just been a joy to experience as she has wholeheartedly lent into the process of healing. In our Ending Body Burnout Method, we're a holistic program. So we're working on both the physical, so the body systems, resetting the body systems with lab-based supplements based on what you need, nutrition, lifestyle therapies. But what's very different about our functional medicine practice is that we are looking at the deepest root cause. We don't just say, oh yeah, like stress, your lifestyle is causing it. Most people know that. But let's actually change that. Let's look at why you are running, overdoing, perfectionism, people-pleasing patterns that are causing your nervous system to be so dysregulated that is then leading to these body burnout symptoms. And so Kristy really lent into the metaphysical side of things of healing. She actually said, and she had already done a bucket load of physical healing work. She was actually in the process of desensitization for her allergies that were helping a little bit. But she had this really, this gut instinct that she needed to really get into the deepest root. What is the deepest root here that is causing her to think, feel, and behave the way that she was, and which was also affecting her physical and mental health. And so we dig into her story. It is phenomenal. I know that you're going to get so much insight from what she shares. She also comes from a background of healing and mindset and body-mind connection. So she is a wealth of knowledge in and of herself. And I also know that you're just going to get so much hope and inspiration as you listen to her story. And as you listen to her story, I really want you to tap into your own story, because your story could be her story. At the moment, you might feel fatigued, exhausted, burnt out, anxious, depressed. Maybe you're struggling with allergies and histamine issues like Kristy, or gut issues, hormone issues, autoimmune flare-ups, chronic body pain. You might feel like you're the hopeless case, like it can't work for you. But as you listen to Kristy's story, I really want you to try on her story as your story. Because in our practice, we believe that 95% of what you need to heal is already inside of you. The other 5% is important. The lab testing might be like some supplements to restore some imbalances. People like us, a coach, a practitioner, a guide to help you along the way, the process. But essentially 95% of what you need to heal is already inside of you. And as you listen to Kristy's story, I want you to try that on for yourself, because you have the power to heal. And if you really resonate with our holistic way of healing body burnout, guess what? Next month, or you might even be listening to this in May. So in May, 20th of May, the doors open to our Ending Body Burnout Method program. We only open doors 3 times a year, so it's actually really exciting time for me and Chris, because we get to welcome in people who have been waiting months and months to dive into the root cause of their body burnout and find their spark and heal. And as you listen to Kristy's story too, you recognize or realize that it's not just about feeling physically better, but it has this beautiful ripple effect into every area of your life, your family, your relationships, your finances, your business, your career, your well-being. When we talk about ending body burnout, we're not talking about just relieving you of symptoms, although that is part of the bonus of ending your body burnout, but it is really tapping into the deepest part of yourself, learning to love and connect with yourself, having rapport and trust with self, and creating the life of your dreams. And it is so possible for you. So doors open on the 20th of May. They are only open for 8 days. So pop your name on the wait list. We'll also have some really cool early bird bonuses, which are valued at over $500 and we've really specifically picked these bonuses to help you make it an easy yes to join the program. So these bonuses are going to help you break through self-doubt that you can't do it. It's also going to help you get organized with your time so that you can create time to heal. We're also giving you some money. So actually a voucher to spend on lab tests or supplements, because who doesn't like to save a bit of money? And we have also strategically put in a special session halfway through the program. So we'll set that at around month 3, month 4, which we've called the halfway get unstuck session. Because if you've done a program before, or you've started a thing, a protocol, often we start and it's all like shiny, yay, awesome, new, woo. And then it fizzles out and your motivation dies. And we do not let that happen in our Ending Body Burnout Method. You receive so much support, including one-on-one support, that you can't get lost. And we've strategically added in processes and sessions to help you get unstuck when you feel like you can't do it any longer or it's too hard. So pop your name on the wait list and you can get access to those early bird bonuses. We also only have so many spaces left. So we can only take on a max of 80 clients in our Ending Body Burnout Method. I think we're currently sitting at 68. So literally there will be 12 spots open when the doors open. So you don't want to miss out. Otherwise you'll have to wait until September when doors open again. And also too, during launch week, we're going to run some really cool free events. So we've got a 3-day stress burnout and why your gut protocol isn't working. So that's all about energy, mood, gut issues, and the role that body burnout and stress plays on the health of our body and how we can actually unravel all parts of ourselves so that we can fully heal and not just band-aid symptoms. We've also got a communicating with symptoms workshop. That one is actually $27, although if you purchased my book in the early bird bonuses, so that would have been last year, you can get that for free. If you didn't get the email, send me an email and I'll send you a coupon to access that workshop for free. And then we also, the day before doors close, we have a 3 steps to ending your body burnout webinar, where we're going to take you through the steps you need to take in order to end your body burnout. It's not just going to be us talking about our program or teaching you things. We're actually going to coach you. So launch week and the free events we're putting on is a great way of seeing if we vibe, seeing if you like the way that we work with our clients, the way that we coach, the way that we ask intelligent, investigative questions to get to your root and help you access the healing power within you. Also, one other thing is our launch week also corresponds with Natural Medicine Week, which is a nationwide celebration of natural medicine. So I am an ambassador of Natural Medicine Week. And so I'm going to put a link underneath the show notes too, so that you can check out all the other fun things, events, blogs, free recipes, free resources that you can get as part of Natural Medicine Week. Okay, that was the longest intro ever, but I really wanted to give this episode the justice and the space it needed, because it's very rare that someone is brave enough to come and share their story. And also, before we jump in, I want to just officially read Kristy's bio. So, because she has her own business, which is amazing. We talk a lot more about it. So Kristy Russell is an early childhood specialist. She's a music educator, mum of 2 busy boys, and musical mindset mentor for early years educators, teachers, and parents. Kristy is on a mission to spread the magic and power of music, and through her business, Moovers and Shakers Music, advocates for musical learning to be embedded into every curriculum, not as an added extra. So if you're someone who is a teacher, whether that's in music, homeschool parent, or a parent with children, and you want to help your kids to understand the power and magic of music and how it can help regulate the system and bring more joy and help with development, Kristy is your woman. You need to reach out to her. So I'm also going to pop her website into the show notes. And for any clients listening, we are going to be so lucky to have Kristy Russell on the 22nd of May come in to do a special guest expert workshop with us in our program, all about using the body and movement and somatics to really deeply reprogram dysfunctional beliefs that you have uncovered about yourself, and also shift charged emotion, trauma, distressing events from the body when we can access the body, which holds our unconscious mind. Okay, let's dive into today's episode.
All right, guys, welcome to this episode of the Ending Body Burnout Show. We got a good one for you today. We have our client, Kristy Russell, with us. So we're excited to interview Kristy, find out a little bit more about her journey, ask her some questions, and have a really nice conversation. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you so much, Kristy, for coming onto the show as well.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait.
I'm so excited too. I mean, I say it all the time in sessions in the Ending Body Burnout Method, but it's so important to collect evidence that we're able to heal. Yeah. And not just, in the standard, take this pill and you get better, but to really tap into your own ability to be able to heal yourself. So this is such a gift to us and to yourself, and also to the world and listeners, because I feel like so many people are going to get so much hope and understanding to around how you actually heal yourself through your journey.
We are going to make the mystery become alive, like actually practically how it actually happens. So, and that's what I'm really excited about too, because sometimes it can be a little bit daunting. You've got this sort of philosophical idea of, oh yeah, I'm going to heal myself. But actually what that entails, it's a bit of hard work. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's a fantastic process. So I'm excited to share my journey.
Yeah. Now, if you're an avid listener, you might actually recognize Kristy's voice because I actually interviewed Kristy last year. Hey, it would have been early last year, I think, ish,
Hmm.
maybe September. No,
Yeah.
mid. Anyway, whenever it was, I'm going to pop the link in the show notes if anyone wants to listen back to our interview. But part of that interview, so you have a business, movers and shakers, music and mindset.
Yeah.
So working with children, teachers, parents as well to use music mindset to, not just learn things, but to help support development and well-being, which I love.
Yeah.
So we spoke about that on the interview last year, but you also shared some of your own healing journey. So maybe if we start there, just do a little recap if someone wants to listen to the full earlier
Yeah.
body burnout episode, I guess, and how
Yeah.
you healed from that. But just a recap so that people understand that this isn't your first rodeo when it
It's
comes to
not my first
healing.
rodeo. So true. Yeah. So a recap would be good because that was really a before. It's a significant before and after story. And as you said, I had already done some healing. There have been three pivotal points in my life of personal transformation and personal development. And now that I've got the language for it, three burnouts basically. So one, the year I was 30, going to 31, which is 2008. Back in 2020, which probably a lot of people had some burnout during the COVID times. And then again recently, I would say November last year. But the one when I talked about that earlier podcast, I was explaining things like I'd had stomach pains and migraines since I think my first migraine was 10. My first sort of stomach ache that sort of was recurring was around 7 or 8, which then led into all these other physical and emotional symptoms of chronic back pain, just kind of like fibromyalgia, all manner of things. There was a big list of things that could have gone wrong, then it was probably ticked, and tried, going down the routes of medical practitioners, alternative therapies, naturopathy, to the point where, I was even considering back surgery, all of that. So the the big, when I was in my 30th year, that was where I really just tapped into more of a general spiritual transformation. So I got a lot into crystals, and I did a lot of workshops to do with meditation, and I learned how to meditate and do yoga. And I had also been practicing Tai Chi for several years. And then the one when I was about 41 back in 2020, that was chronic pain. I'd had chronic back pain for probably a good 12 years, I'd say. And I worked through a process through Curable. It's an organization, I suppose, that talks about mind and body and how pain is an emotion. It's usually repressed emotions. So there was a lot of learning about mental states and sort of an amalgamation of, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. There was graded motor imagery. There was expressive writing exercises. So it was a really more of a holistic look at how chronic pain develops in the human system, I suppose. And that one was really transformative. Like that, I was able to switch off and somatic tracking. So that was really important because I know you use that a lot in your Ending Body Burnout method. So that was a major transformation because it meant that, leading up to that crisis period, I was unable to, piggyback my young children or carry them for long amounts of time or run around with them and have fun, and I was only like, late 30s, early 40s. That's not normal. You should be able to run around and stuff. So it didn't only affect me in a physical way, it affected me emotionally. And it was a lot of, depression and feelings of disconnection from my family, and then, of course, the mother guilt that comes with not feeling like you're doing right for your children, and just, the knock-on effects were quite wide. I really dove into that process, mind-body process, for about 16 months before it really had a proper, like, it was embedded into the way I thought, and I was, even when I felt pain signals coming back, I was able to switch them off using the methods, the strategies. And I also started Taekwondo and training which I absolutely loved. And that became also a mental and a physical booster for everything. And I loved it. Looking back, it was more of now what I know about proving and overdoing. Like, there was certainly an element of that. I'm going to, I've spent so many years not being able to run around and do this. I'm going to do it like at 200%.
Yep, I'm going to chop a board with my hand.
Exactly. There was a lot of power that came from that.
Yeah.
So, and then the latest one in November last year, last year was a year of me amazing growth in starting, really building up my business that would kind of be in a hobby on the side. But then I realized, I've got to, I want to do this online thing. And I learned how to create a website, and I learned all these amazing skills. But at the same time, I burnt myself out, like literally burnt myself out. And that's when I came to you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Next chapter.
Next chapter. Yeah.
So what did that look like for you then in terms of
My burnout.
symptoms? Yeah.
I actually made a couple of notes here because I want to make sure I don't, go off track. Emotionally, I was so high and so low. Really, really, I was a dragon mum with the kids, getting irritable all the time, and then feeling guilty about, like, just lashing out at them verbally, not physically, but really overcritical and controlling them. And I do find a lot of comfort still in being organized relatively, most of the time, and having things kind of structured. But this was next level. Like, I was even looking at myself going, man, there's something wrong here, Kristy. And like, my husband, who's really helpful and supportive, so annoying. You won't mind me saying that. And I know that that's part of your story.
Yes, I'm like,
you and Chris.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then physically, the Taekwondo training, and I was progressing at a really high level. I'm actually at the point where I can go and sit for my black belt soon if I choose to do so. But even that, I was getting injuries and my muscles were cramping up, and it was not giving me the adrenaline. It was not giving me the endorphins anymore. It actually felt like sucking the life out of me. Business, I was getting the brain fog. I was not making money. I was doing, like, all the time on the computer. I have to do this. I have to organize this. Nothing was actually giving me financial revenue, even though it's a startup business, and I knew in my head that I have to give it time. I can't make a business in 6 months. But I got to November, I'd really put an effort in, say from February to November that last year. And yeah, November-ish came, and I was like, I'm not good. And
I think it's important too to note that you were teaching as well.
So
not only were you trying to build a business, but you also had a job and children and a husband.
We live on a hobby farm, which is not really a hobby. And I don't do a lot of the farm work, but my job is more of the veggie patch and the orchard and the meal. Like, I take the lead with the meals and the kids stuff, so that my husband does more of the farm work, and on the weekends, and he does the meals. And so we have a fairly good balance there. But I was also working 3 days a week at my kids' school in literacy intervention, which I love that job, but it's also quite mentally draining because you're giving a lot. And also, I have private piano students. So there was a lot going on, lots of things to juggle. And I was dropping balls left, right, and center.
And also the allergy stuff too, hey?
Oh, yes, the allergies, yeah. So I had that was the new symptoms that came up. I was getting, potentially off the back of COVID again, had that sort of I had a lot of long COVID symptoms that were recognized with asthma, and I was on a preventer every day, and then I developed really acute allergies to dust mites and pollen grasses. We live on a farm. So I was doing the desensitization program, and I was having like asthma attacks left, right, and center. And I do look back at that and think I do believe a lot of that was partly panic attack, partly a typical asthma attack.
Yeah.
And I remember when, that first outlet, when I started the Ending Body Burnout Method, writing down what's your worst fear or something. And I actually thought I was going to have a heart attack or a panic attack and die.
Wow.
I was in that much of a crisis. That's how much my pain was stacked.
Yeah.
You talked a lot about stacking the pain.
Yeah.
It was way up there, and I knew something had to change.
Okay.
Big breath.
Okay. No, this is good. I mean, like, oh my gosh, there's so many similarities between your and mine story.
Yeah, there are, aren't there?
So many. And also so many of our clients or people listening to will resonate with all of that. So the first step usually in our ending body burnout method is to start with the connect the dots, which is then like, let's look at where the body systems are at. So you've got some symptoms showing up.
Yeah.
There can't be symptoms without there being some sort of body system imbalance. And then from there, we're looking into what actually caused those imbalances in the first place. What are the deep root causes? Now, I remember in that initial consult, you said, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I don't think I want to do anything physical. Like I don't want to do any lab testing or supplements. Can you talk into that? Because I actually was just like really excited when you said that.
Yeah. And that had come off following you guys for a little while. And when I say a little while, we'd probably come together through Tina Tower earlier in that year. And just sort of, then when we did the podcast, you got me thinking about a few things. And then I listened to your podcasts, and there was lots of, there were more steps. Like I didn't just dive into you guys, I did a bit of research and felt, okay, well, what are they talking about? Does this sound true to me? Because I'd had a lot of, I'm going to call them medical scars, because going to doctors and GPs and specialists that are through not necessarily any fault of their own, but it's more of a system thing, don't have a knowledge of actually what pain is, don't have a knowledge of what how alternative things can support your emotional capacity to heal. So when I heard, and also that 15-minute call with Chris, just the discovery call. So in my mind, I'd already done a lot of different types of looking, the chronic pain, the mind body. I'd done your standard tests like your blood tests and then further investigations from that, and it all showed up fine, of course, maybe a little bit of low iron here, whatever. So I was very cynical of lab testing, and I think I think your type of lab testing would be a lot more helpful to people that would be interested in that. But for me personally, I knew that there was something right down deep that I needed to just dig around and get out. Yeah. Your face is doing what
just like
there's just not enough. And I knew, and I remember saying this to you, Chris, I need somebody else with the knowledge and the skills to look through the mask that I've created for myself, because my mask is very, very, very clever, and it's going to hide my worst fears about myself, but that is the thing that I need to discover about myself. And I felt like I couldn't/didn't want to do that by myself. For the first time, with Curable, I was doing it by myself. I was working through the process by myself. This time round, I knew that there was something so deep inside of me that had to be healed, that I needed help. And that you guys were the ones to help me because of your own journey as well. So yeah, I felt like the lab testing would be great and insightful, but it wasn't what I needed. And I'm really pleased that I made that decision and had your support from that as well, because that was, for me, that was where my journey was going to go, straight into the metaphysical, dive in.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we do have other clients do that too, where they understand that. Actually, before I go down that route,
Yep.
a lot of people love the lab testing, or the idea of lab testing,
Yep.
and like, oh, and then I know what supplement or what diet to
Yep.
take, and oh yeah, okay, this actually does show that I'm really stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wonderful, and for a lot of clients they do that, and it helps to reset and accelerate the process, but it is not root cause medicine. It
Definitely.
is still not root cause medicine, because you have to always look below what's actually causing the body
Yep.
systems to burn out in the first place.
Mm.
So that's why I was actually quite excited, because sometimes the conversation is, oh no, I don't need all that other stuff.
Or you do.
I don't need to look underneath the surface. Just give me the
Mm.
lab test. And I like, we don't practice like that. It's like, no, that's actually a band-aid approach, but we can support the body systems. So that's why I was really excited that you were like, you know what? I'm just going to go to the deepest part straight away. If I have
Yeah.
to do anything else physical, I'll look at that later. But I
Yeah.
have a feeling, and you also said, I know that I've been able to resolve like fibromyalgia, chronic pain, like physical symptoms with my mind.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, or I know that I can do it again, which is really cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Well, let's go into the root cause.
Yeah. Well, that in itself was won't say a long journey, but the process to getting there was so important. All those tiny steps. And I've said this to you guys before. I mean, I'm so in awe of how you've created this. I really am, because there is such a logical, and I'm quite a logical, pragmatic person. So I loved that there was, okay, do this first. And then once you've done that properly, do that and do that and do that. And everything builds on, and your knowledge becomes deeper and deeper and deeper. So if you've done the work and leaned into it willingly with an open mind and curiosity, there's no other outcome than the truth.
Yes.
There's nowhere else to go. If you do it half-assed, then you'll get that result as well. But in saying that, there's no reason why you can't then go back when you need to course correct, but that comes down. So getting to the root cause, I was surprised at how much writing there was in the outlets. And I resisted a lot of that sometimes. And I like to write, right? So sometimes I wrote, sometimes I did a voice memo. But there was so much value in that, because when you allow yourself to get everything out, just verbal diarrhea, you've got to do it, because it's through that process that you uncover the things that you're hiding from yourself because you're scared. It's actually a really scary process. And I'm not saying that to scare people off. I'm saying that to give you that idea that, okay, this is going to be challenging, but my goodness, the rewards are amazing once you find out and build that rapport with yourself. But you've got to follow the process. So when I found the root cause, do you want me to say what it was for me?
Yeah, if
Go
you're
for it.
happy. So we might just for someone who hasn't done the process,
Yeah.
we in our practice, deepest root cause always comes back to the deepest dysfunctional belief you have about yourself.
Yeah.
Because that is the machine that's driving everything: your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your lifestyle, your habits, and also the state and health of your body.
Yeah.
So what
And
we
you learn, and those are the little, the little modules, if you like, that you learn along the way, so that you're not just diving into the root cause and you're going, oh, look, I'm unlovable. You're actually understanding how that root cause works. So, through the dysfunctional patterns of behavior, I learned that my perfectionist patterns were running really, really hard, like pushing me people pleasing, pushing me to do and stop my own truth from coming out. And, I was stuck in a victim drama, under responsibility, or trying to save people and being over responsible. So all of that, knowing that, led me to, okay, well, why? Like, and then looking back when you're a kid, when you're all of those beliefs and patterns are formed before 2 and then before 7, I could see that for me, it came down to 2 really clear things or beliefs. I am worthless and I am weak. Now, the I am weak one, it read like, you helped us out by putting an example of things like I am weak, or I'm incapable, or I'm unworthy of being loved, or whatever. And I kind of looked through some of those and go, nah, that doesn't sit with me, or kind of. But when I got to the weak one, I'm like, yeah. And it's kind of, oh, like it kind of sinks in. But when I got to the worthless one, oh my goodness, the tears that came out at the same time, like this weight lifted. But this recognition came and I was like, Jesus, excuse me, that was like, really, that's harsh, Kristy. How can you feel like you're worthless? Like that means no worth. That is worse than unworthy. That's nothing. That's zilch. And feeling the weight of what I believed about myself. Oh gosh, and I felt so sad that I had believed that about myself when I was really young. Now I'm only 45, but that's a long time. That's a long time to carry that kind of crap around with you. And my kids came in not long. I've got an 8 and a 10-year-old, and they knew I was working through some things. And as I was doing this and I was sitting at my desk in this room here, they popped their heads in and they could see me crying. And they're like, Mom, are you okay? And I was like, I've just found what's weighing down my backpack that I've been carrying around. And they just hugged me. And then my youngest rang the celebration bell. And it was so beautiful. And then my husband came over and everyone just grabbed me and like, you're so not worthless. It was such a moment to get there, a crucial moment. And everything changed from that moment. Everything. There was still work to do, don't get me wrong. Like once you find, if you're doing this process or you're thinking about it, once you get your root cause, don't think that your work's done, because it's then rebuilding your beliefs and your stories and your rapport. I've just got shivers all over.
Even before you said that.
Oh, I love it. I just lost track. That was.
There's still work to come to reprogram.
Yeah.
Can I say 2 things about that?
Yes, please.
See if I can remember, because I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So some people might be listening and they're like, why the heck do we even need to know what this deepest root cause is?
Yes.
Like, that just sounds like torture.
Yep.
What you don't know, you can't change.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So if you don't see it with clarity, then you're just always fluffing around, trying to heal or trying to fix or trying to change something. Like basically you're chasing shadows.
Yeah.
And this deepest root cause too is literally stuck in your unconscious. Your unconscious is your body. So it's literally stuck in every cell of your body. In order to change that, you must be able to see it. And the work that you do to get there is like an act of courage and love and kindness as well.
Yeah.
For your system, for your unconscious mind, your system to get you to the point where it's safe for you to see that. Like that's why I feel like that's why there was both heaviness and lightness.
Yeah.
Heaviness because it's like, oh my gosh, I've been carrying this for decades. And it has been affecting not just my health and my mind, but every aspect of my life. But then that lightness is also like, and I trust you so much, Kristy, that I've allowed you to now see that, because I trust that you can hold it and do something with it.
Yeah.
So good. Did you want to add anything?
I'm enjoying just like listening. and enjoying the journey. We've had a lot of lovely, wonderful chats one on one together, and then also in our group container as well.
Mm.
It's been a real privilege and a joy to watch the depth of your insights and change and transformation.
Mm.
I love it. So I'm enjoying watching.
Just
I've got nothing to add.
experiencing Kristy.
Yeah, I love it. Celebrating you.
Yes.
Um, I'd love for you to share some of what you did in order to reprogram these
Mm.
deeper root cause beliefs, trauma, because it's all tied up in that as well.
Yep.
Rewire your whole self, the way that your brain works, the way that you're running perfectionism, people
Yeah.
pleasing patterns.
Yeah.
Are you happy to talk about that?
Yeah. And the trauma therapy that you and I did together, I ummed and ahed about doing that the same way that I ummed and ahed about joining up to the Ending Body. I was trying to tell myself all these little stories like, no, I don't need it. Oh, maybe I could ask for just doing like a short program or the like.
I remember
This-
you actually asked that in the initial consult. I'm like, nah.
yeah,
We want
yeah,
like
but
real results. We want to get in the trenches and change your
I
whole way of
know.
being.
But this is what the human, and this is not just me, this
Yeah.
is what the human ego, this is the part of the ego that wants to protect you,
Mhm.
right? It will do anything to scrabble at just go surface, man. Don't go deep. Just go surface. You need to go surface. So I realized with the TRTP therapy that because I was wanting to avoid it, it was the exact thing that I needed. And I've
Mm.
learned that that's a wonderful gift that I've learned throughout all this process, that when I'm avoiding something, it's the exact thing that I need to do. And that's the
Oh,
obstacle is the way, you know?
Obstacles away.
It took me a
yes.
while to figure out what that meant. The obstacle is the way. The obstacle is the way. I'd mulled it over. What does that mean? I get it, you know? So I booked in for the TRTP, and part of me was also judgmental about, oh, I don't think I've had any real trauma.
Mm.
And I find that that's been a real sticking point for when I've told family or friends, trusted family or friends about it. They're like, but you didn't have a traumatic childhood, or you didn't have the. I'm like, okay, there's certainly big and little, and that nothing, there's no, I don't know how to say this. There are different types of trauma, but it's anything unprocessed that has had a significant effect on you that you haven't resolved.
Yeah.
And that's trauma in itself.
Yeah.
And so working through that was, oh gosh, that was, I mean, you saw it in action. It was so empowering.
Yeah.
It was that. I don't know if I would have got the results, honestly, if I hadn't have done that.
Mm.
I really don't. I think that that was a gift to myself that I'm so grateful that I did it, because it allowed me to it allowed the healing. When you write down your sort of your timeline of the most significant events, it just allowed my unconscious to take over, rather than me saying, well, that was traumatic for this reason. I think it was, I think that my body remembers it that way. But when you're actually doing what would you call it? When you're doing the movie scenes?
Yeah, like dynamic reimagining. So
Yeah, there we go.
reimagining
Yeah,
past events and the ending
yeah.
of them. Yeah.
Part of me was really scared that I wasn't going to do it well.
Mm.
I'm doing air talking marks for those just listening and not watching, but
Yeah.
um, I asked you to give me an example, and that really helped. But what came out actually in the actual reimagining was so beyond anything I would have ever thought I could do. And it just proved that, it was just, I don't really know how to explain it. It was so powerful, and it got it out. It actually,
Mm.
physically left my body, and I'm still in awe of how that works. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I knew it worked because,
Yeah.
sorry, you've got something to say there. Go.
No, well, I was just going to share a little bit about what you were actually doing there as well. So in the trauma therapy, you're going back in time. It's very safe. We're not reliving anything, but you're going
Mm.
back to the end of certain events. And essentially you're rescuing the younger you.
Yeah.
So you're going back as the empowered adult, and you've done the work to get to that point where
Yeah.
it's like, I matter enough that I can rescue the younger me, and using the imagination, which
Mm.
is so not talked about enough. So the
Yes.
unconscious state, because all this trauma and these deep unconscious core beliefs and unprocessed emotion, past events get stuck in the unconscious.
Mm.
So we can talk about it all we like, but it will only probably get about 5% change, because
Mm.
that's just sticking with the 5%
Yeah.
of the conscious mind. The unconscious mind makes up 95% of our mind. So we must go there. And that's where utilizing the imagination in such a powerful way can literally create a new memory
Mm.
of the past, where your unconscious state is like, whoa, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, cool. Well, I can switch off that stuff that
Yeah.
happened, or I'm making a new meaning around it, neutralizes the memory, so that then you have this new empowering one, and you're
Mm.
there, like you've got your back, which then helps you to carry on in the present and the future, because
Mm.
you're always there for you.
Yeah.
You're a powerful and safe adult that's always got your back.
Yeah.
And you did some phenomenal stuff too, which is, you're actually going to be a guest expert in our Ending Body Burnout Method too, because I loved the way that you have done a lot of work and like professional development on this as well, the way that you used your body
Mm.
to create that change as well, because again, our body is our unconscious
Mm.
mind. And so
Yeah.
when the body gets involved, then it helps to shift stuff from the
Mm.
unconscious.
Mm.
And you became gowned off, basically.
I
Like,
did.
you shall not pass.
It
You
was
will not have that
amazing.
little
Oh,
girl
I'm getting the shivers
anymore.
again.
I loved it.
It was such an amazing experience. And I really, because of that, felt safety, because I really felt safe with you, but also in my own body. I had, you suggest that people do that after they find their root cause. I'm pretty sure that's how it
Yes.
works.
Yes,
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
yeah, definitely. Because you have to feel that connection with yourself and back yourself. And I just I didn't consciously move my body. I just let it move itself. I really tapped into that intuitive state there, and that was really powerful. And I remember using a similar way of reimagining a different ending with my youngest child not long after that,
Mm.
when he was scared about something that he'd seen on telly, and he was in bed and he was saying, I don't want to go to sleep because I'm really scared. So, well, okay, well, let's make up a different ending. And we had a play and we used his imagination. He slept like a log. Like, it
So
worked
good.
so
That's awesome.
well. Yeah, it was so good. I'm
Yes.
just so grateful for that.
So cool. I use that with our youngest too.
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't had to for a long time. She was
Mm.
having issues at school and, making unresourceful meanings around certain
Yeah.
events. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, little Elsie, we're going to go, or big Elsie,
Yeah.
now we're going to go back and you're going to change the ending of what happened at school today. It's going to be so
Mm.
good.
Yeah. And I think
Okay.
that's
Are you okay?
it's a really good way of remembering that when you learn all the steps to get to the root cause, and then the steps afterwards to you know retrain and rewire the brain and your behavior and everything, just having that process and the evidence and the data, that is so important to come back to when you get triggered, because at this coming up to the root and just after having found it, my perfectionist patterns were still in the background going, "Well, you're triggered by something. That means you haven't done it right, Kristy." Like, I'm like, okay, no, it doesn't. It's actually just a reminder that, okay, I just need to go back and make sure I'm using a resourceful thought or a supporting belief rather than a limiting belief or a dysfunctional. It's just there's all like life is not perfect. You're not going to, even after having done all this work, you're not going to go through life now and have no arguments, no stress, no, things that don't trigger you, but you'll have so much more awareness of how you can move through that. And that's a really important thing, I think, for people starting this process, thinking about it, or even working through it now is, especially if you've got perfectionist patterns running through.
Which 99% of our clients do.
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty strong. But it doesn't mean that you've failed or that you haven't done it right. It's just, it's new levels of growth, like you've said before. I'm probably jumping ahead again.
No, that's okay.
Mm,
Take us to the moment where you
mm.
realized that the process program was
Yeah.
working for you.
My very first moment, and if I could share three quick ones.
Go.
My very first moment was, again, my kids. We were doing I think our weekly family blitz, and there was stuff everywhere in the house, and it's like, clothes here and piles of stuff here, and no, normally that really triggers me. I'm like, oh my God, I have to do the housework. Ah! And I was like, okay, wow, there's so many things on your floor, guys, in my kids' room. What are we going to do? Okay, well, why don't you do this and you do that? And then they started doing some stuff, and I came back, and then there was still most of the things are kind of faffing about playing with things. I'm like, guys, I have asked you to do this and we've got to get it done. So, let's do it all together so that nobody has to do it themselves. And my youngest looks at me and goes, Mum, why aren't you getting angry? It's like, why are
Who
you
are
so
you?
calm?
I'm trying to trigger you, Mum.
He said, why are you so calm? And I was like, oh, I am, aren't I? And I just started laughing and I said, I reckon that's my new way that I'm starting, my new practicing about how I'm learning new skills and learning how to not be such a dragon mum. And then they started laughing, and then we just all cleaned up together.
That's
So that
awesome.
was the real first one.
Yeah.
Not long after that, my husband and I were doing something, and I was helping him out with something, and he won't mind me saying this. When he's doing a job around the house, right, he gets quite frustrated, and he's like, he's in the moment. I think we were putting in a window or something, and it dropped, or I didn't do it the right way, and um he lashed out at me, and I lashed back out at him, like stood up for myself, and normally I would have just gone, "Ooh, it's yelling at me, and I didn't do the right thing, and I really mucked that up." I would put the blame on me. No, I just lashed back at him. Not that that's helpful, but, we both got it out,
Yeah.
and then we finished the job, and then I walked off, and it didn't stay with me. Normally, I would be mulling it over. Oh, I should have been more supportive, or I should have done this, or shoulda, coulda, woulda, one of those mindsets. It did not stick with me at all. And that's when I thought that, I saw when you're learning about TRTP and Judith does the graph of where a normal stress response is here and then it goes back down again.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got triggers, it constantly stays up here,
Fight, flight. Yeah.
fight or flight, and you never lower back into just, your nervous system never really recovers. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just had a stress response and I was able to come back to calm.
And it just
Gee, that
happened
was
like that.
amazing. It was so good. I was like,
Yeah.
yes, this is working.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then more recently, I was able to have some confronting conversations from a place of love and support, but backing myself with some family members. So that was really important as well.
So good.
Actually
So good.
taking courage to have that rather than going, oh no, I'm never going to speak up about this and I'll just deal with it and, make myself sick over it.
Yeah.
So,
I love
yeah.
it. It's so cool.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Anything like in terms of what life looks like now, and
Mm,
also body burnout, physical body,
yeah.
what other changes have you seen or have you manifested, have you created?
In terms of the business, I'm still working through that, because that's a real, as you know, a lot of you'd understand this too. A lot of entrepreneurs, because they're doing something that's a little bit different, or a little bit, sometimes you can be solo, or starting up something that's you might not have much experience in, or it's a new thing. I'm still working through what that looks like for me and how I want to move on. When I first started the business and doing it online, I was following kind of a program, which was really helpful, but it was somebody else's program. And so now I've come back, and it's almost like I've done a full circle, and looking at, okay, well, what does that actually look like for me to have my own business, and where do I want to go with it, and how is it going to work for me that's going to suit my family, and really play into my values. My values are family, health and well-being, financial wealth, like a wealth abundance, rather than not just having money, but having that wealthy, abundant mindset. And then, being creative through music and art, because that's the basis of my business. It's, um, music and movement to support connections and well-being and learning. So the if I was to sort of compartmentalize the different sections of my life, family, awesome. I've got some great connections now, really great authentic relationships happening. With my body, I feel so much more in tune. I'm listening to my signals. If I get a little pain or a little bit of a tension headache, I'm really quick to go, oh, okay, we need to have a conversation, or we need to spend some time together, Kristy, you and I just having a chat, work through. With the business, this is an evolution, and I'm excited about that evolution, because now I can apply those areas where I have flow in my family and physical health and mental well-being. Now I can put that and my energy into growing my business in my way that's really authentic for me. So there's some real shifts in the energy around that, and that has opened up some shifts in potential collaborations that are coming forth.
So
So
exciting.
cool.
I don't want to talk too much about that, because we're only
Oh,
into the startup
no.
phase. But yeah, it's really like I've created some space for great energy to come in, great clients to find me, great partnerships.
Which is what the end goal, there's never an end goal, which is what the
I
big
know what you
picture
mean, though.
is, though. Like, it's
Yeah.
not just like, okay, I just want some energy and I want my body to work well and I want to be calm in my mind. It's like, yeah, but
Mm.
then what can we do with that?
This is the consequence of having that energy, consequence of having that elevated vibe, that
Yes.
conscious top of the, like, that way of thinking that's just so different, it's next level.
Mm.
And so the consequence of that is you're going to be exposed to new people, new situations, different ways of thinking, different practices, different ways of connecting with people that you love. um
Well, it's the ripple effect
it's a
too.
ripple
Yeah.
It's
effect.
like the ripple effect and your ability to make a huge impact in
Mm.
your family, but also in your business, and all the
Yeah.
people that you come in contact with through that and through community is just
Mm.
like, it's phenomenal.
Mm.
It is. It's
So
really phenomenal.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I started this process, actually, it was more about addressing burnout on a physical level and the mental level, obviously, but I didn't realize how much that was affecting the way I was running the business.
Mm.
And now I really get what all that mindset is about,
Can you
particularly
really? Oh, yeah, sorry, keep going.
no, I was just going to say, particularly because I'm solo at the moment. At the moment.
At the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Can you also, I know I mentioned the allergies before, but I think that people would be really interested in hearing that, because you didn't do anything physical. So you were initially doing desensitization,
Yeah.
and then you
I
got
think
to
I
a
did.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
go.
I think I did 3 sessions of desensitization.
Yeah.
And when I'd done my original testing, like I'd said to you, I'd mentioned before that I was daily preventer, I was having like 2 to 4 antihistamines each day. And when we started doing the trauma therapy, I think it was, and I asked you about that. I can't quite remember the timeline, but anyway, we talked about that was something that was sticking with me. I was like, okay, well, why can't I turn that off? You know, if I was able to turn chronic pain off, why can't I turn my histamine, you know, my allergic reactions off? And you worked with me through a parts process, and it was so much underneath all of that, you know, what that actually represented. I was feeling very suffocated, literally, by what was happening around me in my work, in the family, in the home, in myself, the way I was treating myself. Everything was feeling pressured and suffocated, and I just couldn't breathe easy anymore, you know? And all of that was coming out as this physical symptoms of having asthma and allergy. And I said to you that I wanted to, a goal, if you like, was to stop that process, stop that the desensitization. And I did. And I worked through it as a process. It wasn't just a split decision made from,
Well,
I'm just going to do it.
There was a little bit of a blind spot there where you were still outsourcing to the authority rather than trusting your own wisdom.
Yeah, trust. Definitely, definitely. Thank you for clarifying that for the listeners, because that's really important. And I couldn't be happier with my decision, because as soon as I decided that and I backed myself with it, I didn't need the preventer. My husband was doing the renovating in our house, which included, knocking down walls. There was plaster dust. I just asked him to be, just to vacuum it up, but still there was heaps of stuff everywhere. No reaction. I chose not to have an allergic reaction, and I chose not to have, a histamine reaction to it. It was amazing. That was another reason, another evidence showing that all of the processes that I'd worked through and the rewiring that I'd been practicing worked.
Yeah. So cool.
That's legendary.
So legendary.
Isn't it? It's awesome.
So awesome.
Sometimes when I hear myself, I think, is this true? I kind of pinch myself.
Did I actually create this?
But it's so possible.
So powerful. Like you are
cool.
so powerful. And also, I hope that whoever's listening to, even if they're feeling like, oh, wow, Kristy's amazing.
Powerless.
It's so cool that it happened for her, but not for me. But like, honestly, follow the process, enter it with some courage, kindness, trust in maybe not yourself yet, but like it comes. Everyone is so powerful.
Yeah. And do you know, I often think, because I've been classically trained since the age of 5, right, on the piano. And there's a lot that I used to, I didn't like about that. It was very structured. It made me feel like I couldn't sort of, there was a force there in some ways. I'm so grateful that I had that I sort of grew up with this idea that even though you might not see progress right there and then, if you stick with the practice or the repetition of it, eventually the change will happen. And I keep applying that to everything I do now. And even though, like, this is going a little bit off topic, but even though, when Jamin Fraser, for example, talks about the difference between self-discipline and self-permission, I finally understand what he means now. I think there's certainly a place for that sort of discipline when you're younger. But I just think what you just said about, you might not feel like you're your future self now, but stick with it. Like, really follow the process. Let that be your guide and trust in the process, that eventually you'll just one day go, oh, I'm not getting triggered by that. Or, that does feel good for me to, just say out loud what normally I would ruminate over for weeks,
Yeah.
Yeah. And also another thing that I wanted to make sure I sort of got across to people is that for me personally, I'm a great starter of things. I'm awesome at creating ideas and starting and, getting into it. And then I'm not, I've always had an issue with sustaining the energy or sustaining the belief in myself. And now I understand why. It's because I just didn't have 100% backing with myself.
Well,
And
you go back to the root cause belief, I was
yeah,
worthless and
yes.
weak.
Well, it makes sense. Why would I want to sustain anything? Great ideas that I've had that have started and then have fizzled out. And then, I begrudge myself and I start blaming myself. Oh, you just weren't good enough or you weren't this. But once I got to that root cause, I understood why it was such a challenge for me to sustain. And now I understand that yes, it takes courage to start and belief and a little bit of blind faith, maybe, as in you don't feel it head and heart connected at the start, but you know it's going to happen. So I think for me, my big takeaway is it takes true rapport with yourself, that unmasked and unmanaged attitude to sustain that, like to keep it going, and the ability to realize and be aware of when there might be new growth or when there's a new trigger or an old trigger. Okay, well, you can sit with that and just go back, or you can sit with it and go, oh, that's when I can use the limiting belief work, or I can go back and do a meditation that's going to help me with this and just keep moving forward.
So cool.
So cool.
Oh, one last question.
Yes.
What do you feel was different to the Ending Body Burnout Method program?
Oh, I love that you asked this question because recently we had a musician that we hosted at our house. He stayed with us for almost a week, and then he did a little concert on our deck, and it was lovely because he's a very talented musician, but I think he's 27, but he's also very old soul, and he's been through a bit of stuff himself and different, like he's done some NLP work, he's done some spiritual work, he's done this. And my husband and myself and he were talking one night about growth and, different stages of your life. And I'd said that I'd, had that transformation when I was 30 and then again when I was 41. And then my husband said to me, oh, you've tried a lot of different things. Do you think there's sort of one thing that addresses all the different needs? And I actually said, you guys, your ending
Aww.
body burnout, because you tap into all the different things. You've got the metaphysical stuff covered. You've got the physical, the lab testing, the evidence and the data. And I think that's been really lacking in, Western medicine and even in some Eastern alternative medicine. There's nothing so holistic as getting all of those boxes ticked. And not that they're boxes to be ticked, but I'm just so grateful because there's something in it for everybody, no matter what personality you have. If you've done work before and you're a little bit more inclined to understand spiritual, or if you need that and want that, if you want to have the evidence from your lab testing, if that's going to spur you on forward to then have courage to do the metaphysical stuff, I just, I can't say enough about it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, you're so welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's literally, I know I've done a lot of the work, but it's, with your support and the knowledge and the skill sets, because you're very different people, but what you bring together is just
different.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh, so good. We have, and well, I know Chris too, just love anytime we see you, we talk to you, you share your wins, even your struggles. You've always been so open and amazing and such a value too in our group coaching sessions as well.
Yeah,
Just,
that's awesome too, that community. I love
yeah,
being part of that.
yeah. And realizing that everyone's kind of got like different things going on, but it's all similar stuff underneath the surface.
Yeah.
Or it's all there.
Yeah.
No one's abnormal.
No,
Yeah.
no. Your
So
body is not broken.
you are not
You're
broken.
not
You are
broken.
not broken. You have created this, which means you can recreate something new.
Yes. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that the
Yeah.
power? You've created that, but you could also write your own story at any time of your life, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So I'm so excited because this potty episode is dropping next week. So I know so many people are going to just find so much value and inspiration and hope from this. And for any clients listening, we've got Kristy coming into one of our group coaching sessions soon, very soon, in the Ending Body Burnout Method, doing somatic practices to really do what you have done, the results that you've created to really get some unconscious change. So I'm so excited for that to happen.
Me
And
too.
also, you have an online workshop coming up too for your business. I would love you to share that, especially if there's any teachers, parents, or anyone that knows anyone
Yes.
who needs this, because you are the best person who can help get a transformation.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've created this. It's called Routines to Rituals, and it's using musical learning and mindfulness practices, not as an extra program in your early learning center or at home if you're a homeschool parent. But it's really showing you the value of it's all neuroscience backed as well, evidence based. So it's really showing you how to bring in elements of music and mindfulness practices on the daily routines that you're already doing. So you don't have to do anything really extra like a music program. It's for you if you're a non-musician or if you've got limited knowledge about music or mindfulness. It's really that habit stacking, which we know from research is the best way that we can learn new skills and keep those skills going. If we've already, for example, nappy changing or toileting young children, that can sometimes be quite stressful because they might be crying, they might not want you to put their shoes on. So if you even do something like sing what you're doing with them, time to put your shoes on, time to put your shoes on, you're not only helping your regulation in your nervous system, you're creating a fun environment and playful, and you're singing to them, which means that their brain is going to be switching on all over. It's like a whole brain response. And you're creating these lovely transitions that are calm and connected rather than getting frustrated, like, come on, we got to change your nappy or put your shoes on. You can instantly hear in my voice that there's a bit of
Come
a,
on,
"Ah,
put your
I
shoes
don't want to do it.
on.
I want to listen to you." But if you're
Heavy
playful,
metal.
if you're using musical elements, the same as, going for a rest or sleep time. Some of our older children don't want to sleep, but they need have a little rest. So put on a lovely guided meditation or some music that's at kind of a 60 beats per minute to replicate their heartbeat. And it's a 90-minute workshop. It's for you if you're, as I said, working in early childhood, studying in early childhood, you might be a homeschool parent. And you can find out more at my website. It's moversandshakersmusic.com.au, but I'm sure you'll put the links in anyway.
Put it
Yeah.
in the show notes. Does it
Yeah.
work for husbands too?
Ah,
Time to wash the dishes. Time to wash the
it does.
dishes.
Anytime you sing an instruction, the other person will go, "Oh, what's this? I'm paying attention to it," without even realizing your brain's going to pay attention to it. So yeah, it's on I think I've got one coming up on the 2nd of May. It's a Thursday. And if you sign up for it and you can't turn up live, which is where the magic happens, but if you can't turn up live, then you get the recording. So yeah, jump on my website and check it out there.
So cool.
Awesome.
I'm so excited to see
Oh.
you flourish in all areas, even more so than what you already are.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Cool. Thanks so much, Kristy. I haven't really said too much on this podcast. I was just sitting back and enjoying the ride. So listeners probably enjoyed that. So thank you so much for coming on to the show, and we look forward to catching up with you again very, very soon.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Philly.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you. If you'd like to give us extra smiles, drop us a review and spread the love by sharing this episode.
You can also rate your own state of burnout and the root cause contributors by taking our Ending Body Burnout Assessment on our website. And if you're interested in learning about our group or one-on-one Ending Body Burnout programs, shoot us a DM via Instagram or Facebook.
Have the best day ever.